RetroDaze.
There's something about the new year that always causes me to look back at the past. I mean, not that we aren't constantly exploring the past here in our videos, but January and February of each year seem to somehow amplify my nostalgia. Most recently, I was thinking about these cold winter months between the holidays and summer, when school seemed even more relentlessly despicable than usual. There were no gifts left to look forward to, and the next major vacation was still months away.
All that remained in the way of hope was the potential for snow days, and if we were really lucky, that most prized of all school-based activities, the field trip. And since we're taking out our trusty time machine, the Thunder Road Mark II, you should probably go secure your permission slip ASAP. We show up at your house at 5 a.m. and ring the bell for a solid 5 minutes before you finally answer the door, bleary-eyed and confused. You say, "John? RetroDaze crew? What do you—" Producer Tony interrupts, all business. "Do you have your permission slip?" He stares at you over his clipboard. Well, you sputter and check your pajama pockets. Alyssa's having a hard time holding back the laughter, and when she finally breaks, we all lose it. Writer Tony says, "He's just pulling your leg. We brought permission slips for everyone. Go get dressed. The Thunder Road Mark II is waiting." You invite us all in and ask a burning question that's been on your mind for a while now. "Hey, Writer Tony, why are you still wearing that Freddy mask?" Tony turns slowly, his black eyes staring from the recesses of the latex mask. He stares far too long, then starts laughing maniacally. You nod and slowly back away, deciding you'd rather not know after all.
Field trip.
Hey Ernie, did you remember your permission slip?
Mrs. Bates. Field trip. Field trip.
Alright guys, remember the buddy system.
Alphabetical order.
Seeing stuff. Stuff that's cool. Stuff that's gross. Stuff that's really neat.
Aw, it's so cute.
Wild. Oh no. Stuff to eat. It's a good time for the great taste.
Want a bite? Okay.
Of McDonald's.
Once dressed, we all pile into the Thunder Road and blast ourselves through time. Wormholes appear and disappear as we race in infinite loops of ethereal plasma. The whole thing makes you mildly queasy, but before long, we land in Manhattan circa 1989. We unload directly in front of an elementary school building with yellow buses lining the street. Wait, you say, we're not actually taking a school bus to the final destination, are we? Of course we are, I say. But you motion to the time machine. Couldn't we just zap ourselves there? Producer Tony puts his arm around your shoulder. Sure, we could, but then we'd miss out on an essential part of the field trip experience. He smiles wide. Saddle up, partner. It's weird how none of the teachers or other kids seem to notice this gaggle of adults standing in line to get on the bus. You figure it must just be some more of that weird RetroDaze magic and dutifully hand over your permission slip to the gray-haired teacher waiting at the bus door. She stares a beat too long at your slip, but eventually lets you and the rest of us enter. The atmosphere on the bus is electric because, for once, this bus is not taking us to school or home. The driver pulls out and the bare metal box rattles and jerks all over the place. The slippery in winter and sticky in summer green seats seem as if they can barely contain us. There are no seatbelts here and we slide back and forth with every turn. The bus is all metal, vinyl, and glass. Sound reverberates differently in here and the smell, well, it's specific. The vinyl-coated seats and diesel fumes mix to form an aroma I don't think I can forget, even if I tried. And God forbid one of the other kids got motion sick and added the acrid stink of puke to the proceedings. When big rigs pass, we all pump our arms in the universal blow your horn sign. Sometimes we're ignored, but occasionally a trucker will consent, and the bus erupts in cheers every time. Then, when Volkswagen Bugs pass, we take turns punching each other and saying, "Punch Buggy Blue, no punchbacks," adding in whatever color the car actually is. There's loud talking and some scuffles, which the teacher or chaperones will sometimes break up. Other times they just roll their eyes. And by the time we pull up to the destination, our arms are sore and our legs beg for movement.
A visit to the Schenectady Museum and Planetarium is a trip around the world.
In fact, it's out of this world.
A museum is an adventure, exploring the universe and all its wonders, questioning how does it work, and doing hands-on.
These are never-to-be-forgotten experiences for the inquisitive child that's in all of us.
And for that special something, for that special someone, visit the gift shop and support the Schenectady Museum and Planetarium with your purchase.
We exit in front of the crown jewel of any potential field trip, the planetarium. Now, obviously, it's subjective, but if you think there's a better field trip option, you're wrong. That is what subjective means, right? Museums, zoos, and aquariums, they're all fine too, of course, but this is the closest thing to going to the movies out of all of them, and that always appealed to me. We start with a tour that takes us through a dimly lit museum to help get our eyes acclimated to the darkness of the auditorium. And we're shown telescopes, models of rockets and orbiters, framed posters, and informative exhibits. This winding tour eventually leads us into the planetarium proper, a huge circular auditorium with an enormous dome screen above. The room is already dark and images of planets are projected above. The sound in this room echoes, enveloping us from all sides of the cavernous room. It's what we'd think outer space might be like if conventional sound could travel in the near vacuum. We're led to our seats and the main show begins. We lean back and stare above us where the night sky is projected in all its wondrous glory. The constellations first appear as they would in the actual sky, but then the images are drawn over them, showing us the artistic rendering of constellations. We're treated to meteor showers and vivid glimpses of planets while the guide narrates over the sound system and a spacey soundtrack delights us. Back during our actual childhoods in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we'd remember those epic field trips, and then when we reached high school age, we'd return to the planetarium for the more adult-oriented spectacles that they offered, like various musical light shows.
These are the hands of a laserist, an electronic musician who makes one laser light dance, all done with a panel of instruments called names like choppers, cycloids, and modulators. He makes the light do things like this. But how does all this work?
We have one laser that produces a very bright spot, which you see up on the dome right now. We can take that laser and using a prism, break it up into 4 colors, red, yellow, green, and blue. And then what we can do is we can make the dots move very fast or very slowly. I have a joystick here on my console and I can make them move around according to where I want them to move in my hand. I can move them in a circle or back and forth. And if I move them fast enough, you notice a strange thing happening. They begin to form lines.
And then there are circles.
By adding circles on top of circles, I can get very complex laser patterns.
Then they put all this dial twisting to music, like the rock show It's Hard by The Who, that is now playing at the Morrison Planetarium in Golden Gate Park.
Back on this excursion, we exit the auditorium and are led to the second best part of any field trip, the gift shop. Now, as kids, you had to hope your parents weren't being too stingy and gave you enough cash for something good. But even if they didn't shell out a ton of money, you probably had enough for that most prized of planetarium gift shop delicacies. You lay your eyes on the silver vacuum-sealed package with an astronaut on the label. No way! I haven't had astronaut ice cream in decades! I retrieve a pack for myself and hold the little brick of freeze-dried goodness in my hands. The space-age dessert, I say, bemused. Of course, we now know the so-called astronaut ice cream was never on any of the space missions, nor eaten by anyone while in space. Reportedly, the Whirlpool Corporation did first manufacture the food for NASA, but for one reason or another, it was never used. One source suggests it was due to the crumbly nature of the confection, which would have resulted in all those crumbs floating around in the cabin. Of course, the ice cream we're purchasing in the gift shop is not made by Whirlpool. Ron Smith, founder of American Outdoor Products, told Serious Eats in 1974 that Goddard Air and Space Museum contacted us and said that freeze-dried ice cream was used by the space program. They wanted to know if we could make it so they could sell it in their gift shop. And we said, sure, we'll try it. Originally, the way they did it was to take a solidly frozen half-gallon of Neapolitan ice cream and cut it into portions with a bandsaw. From there, it went through the freeze-drying process and was then vacuum-sealed in its famous foil packaging. Perhaps not surprisingly, astronaut ice cream, along with many new freeze-dried products, are still sold today. Despite this fact, we all grab a few packs to purchase, somehow knowing the ones back in the future won't be quite the same. Looking around, we see a lot of the usual gift shop suspects that we've covered in other videos, like rocks and gemstones. There are plenty of graphic t-shirts hanging from circular racks. I take a look through these and find standard NASA shirts, "You Are Here" solar system images, a couple different Einstein designs, a moon landing shirt, and plenty of rocket ships. And speaking of rocket ships, there's a whole shelf of regular models as well as flying rocket kits. These are tempting, especially the Quest Big Rage coming in at over 3 feet tall. Alyssa calls us over to the far corner and says, "Would you look at all these science kits?" Indeed, there are a ton of different selections, from your standard mini science lab kits to more specific selections like the interactive Planetarium. We spend far too much time browsing the books, keychains, space pins, and posters. Finally, the teacher rounds us all up and says, "Line up, we're headed back outside for lunch before we drive back to the school." A good thing, too, because my stomach is rumbling something fierce. Unfortunately, we aren't as lucky as the kids in the McDonald's commercial, and our lunch on this particular field trip is provided by the good old brown bag. Producer Tony, as if by magic, produces 5 brown-bagged lunches and hands them out. We disperse around the exit of the planetarium and find free real estate where we can sit and eat. Most of us end up on the cement stairs, and some kids retreat to the bus to escape from the winter cold. I remember countless field trip lunches just like this, and it feels like a perfect return to simpler days. Inside our brown bags, we have all the essentials: PB&J, bologna, or ham and cheese sandwiches, chips like Doritos, Cheetos, or Dipsy Doodles, fruit or fruit cups, boxed drinks, and desserts like Twinkies, pudding cups, Famous Amos cookie pouches, or fruit snacks, all depending on our preferences. We scarf our food with the other kids while the cold wind chills us, and we think about the stars above our heads that we can't see yet. As kids, memories of these solar spectacles would dazzle us to sleep. We might even ask our parents for a telescope for our birthdays and make wholly unrealistic plans to become astronauts when we grow up. But for us, here and now, we have to head back to the future and leave all of those space-age dreams to our younger selves.
Welcome back to the future! Now, to tell you the truth, today's field trip was originally going to consist of multiple stops, but once we arrived in the past, it just felt wrong to gloss over all the other wonderfully nostalgic elements of a field trip. The good news, as usual, is that this means we can always hop back in the Thunder Road Mark II at some later date and return for a field trip to the aquarium, Natural History Museum, or, well, you tell me. What other field trip locations do you remember fondly? Which ones should we travel to together? You know, I would love to hear about it down in the comments. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell. It really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clicky.